Shows Phil Hartman and Gilda Radner standing in front of a camera. Hartman. Hello, I'm Frank Featherstone, and welcome back to Jumping Johns, the most dedicated prank show of all time. I have here with me miserable Mandy, who loves making others feel miserable as well. Isn't that right? Radner.
You're being typecast as a host, aren't you? They must think you don't have much range.
Wah, wah. When you're trying to enjoy your day and have everything be okay, there's a woman we all know who tries to make us all feel real low, and like we've ate too much candy. It's that wretched old lady, miserable Mandy. Radner. That's me. Hartman. Anyway, here on Jumping Johns, we are going to help miserable Mandy destroy an innocent man's life. As a monitor comes down next to Hartman, he says, as you can see on the monitor, we have found an unsuspecting man named Steve Sedgwick feeding pigeons in the park. Shows on the monitor Chris Farley as Steve Sedgwick sitting on a park bench feeding pigeons. Hartman. We are going to have Mandy here approach Steve and tell him she's staying at a local hotel for a convention. Norm MacDonald approaches and stands next to Hartman, who says, once they get to her room and start getting frisky, our actor here, Don Norman, is going to be dressed as a police officer and enter the room. He will then tell our unlucky victim that Mandy here is only 14 years old, even though she's actually in her 40s. Radner. 30s! Hartman. Right. Don will then shake down the victim for all of his cash, take his credit cards, enter his phone, and withdraw all of his money from his bank accounts. I will then enter the room and tell him it was just a prank, and then Don here is going to shoot him to death. So without further ado, let's go jump a John. Cuts to Farley sitting on a park bench feeding dog food to pigeons. Radner approaches and sits next to Farley and says, wow, that's pretty interesting. Feeding pigeons dog food. Farley. Yeah, they don't seem to like it very much, but I find it therapeutic. Radner puts her hand out and says, I'm Mandy. Farley shakes her hand and says, I'm Steve. Radner starts to graze her leg onto Farley's leg and says, so, what are you up to the rest of the day? Farley. Well, I have to go to the store to buy pigeon feed for my dog, but other than that, I have no plans. Radner places her hand on Farley's thigh and says, well, I'm in town for a casual sex lovers convention. I was wondering if you want to come with me to my room and have a little fun. Farley. Will there be snacks? Radner. I'm sorry? Farley. In case I get hungry, will there be snacks at your hotel room? Radner. There'll be a pink one for you if you want it. Farley. Oh, you mean those pink Keebler sugar wafers? Radner. Yeah, of course. I have pink Keebler sugar wafers in my room. Farley. Okay, let's go. Farley and Radner get up from the bench, hold hands, and begin to skip together out of the park. Cuts to a hotel room as Radner and Farley enter. Radner begins to kiss Farley and moves him towards the bed. Farley breaks the kiss and says, I was told there'd be wafers. Radner begins kissing Farley again and pushes him down onto the bed. Radner jumps on top of him, and they begin to kiss and go under the covers. MacDonald enters the room dressed as a police officer, approaches the bed, pulls out a gun and says, party's over, pedo. Radner jumps out of the bed and gets behind MacDonald. Farley pokes his head out from under the covers and says, what are you talking about? MacDonald. Well, you know, who you've been fornicating with is actually a quite young lady. 14 years young to be exact. Farley.
Officer, I had no idea she was 14. She looks at least 40.
Radner.
I'm 37, you piece of shit.
McDonald. Radner.
I'm 14, you scumbag.
McDonald. All right, buddy. Here's how this is going to go down. I'm going to take all your cash in your wallet, and I'm going to go into your phone and draw out all of your money so we can pretend none of this happened. You got it? Farley.
Officer, don't I get to talk to a lawyer or something? I think 40 might even be a little generous for her.
McDonald takes out his gun and shoots towards stuntman Ted White as Radner, who falls down to the ground. McDonald. Now it really doesn't matter how old she is, huh? I came in here hearing about a gunshot and found you with a gun and a dead woman. Do you want that? Or do you want to give me all your money? Now hand over the phone. Farley tosses McDonald his phone. Cuts to a few minutes later with Farley sitting in the bed and McDonald on Farley's phone. McDonald. Okay, you're cleaned out. No more money. Hartman enters the room and says, Hello, Mr. Sedgwick. I'm Frank Featherstone, and you were just jumped. Don here isn't really a cop, but just an actor. Anyway, McDonald takes his gun and shoots towards Ted White as Hartman, who falls down to the ground. McDonald. You can leave this room at 11 p.m. The room's in the skirt's name, so you should be fine. Have a nice life. McDonald turns to leave the room and tries to open the door, but cannot. McDonald. What the hell? There's all this green slime on the door. Farley.
Now, fellas!
John Belushi, Harold Ramis, Peter Aykroyd, and Richard Pryor as the Ghoul Busters bum rush through the door and enter the hotel room. Aykroyd and Pryor hold McDonald down as Ramis takes a baseball bat and bashes Ted White as McDonald in the face. Belushi lights up a joint, takes a puff, passes it to Farley and says, Attaboy, Slimer. Farley looks at McDonald and says,
Can I see your phone, buddy?
Pryor grabs McDonald's phone and tosses it to Farley. Cuts to a few minutes later, with McDonald tied up in a chair, a keg of beer in the corner, with Jan Hooks and Denitra Vance as escorts, dancing for the 5 men who are drinking and passing around a joint. Farley.
All right, boys, I cleaned them out. Do as you wish.
McDonald. Now, wait a second. If you all are the Ghoul Busters, you can't go after me. I'm a living, breathing person. I'm not dead. Belushi takes out a gun, shoots towards Ted White as McDonald, who falls down to the ground, and says, Now you are. And dead from the earth, we're not alive. It's Saturday Not Alive, starring John Belushi, Chris Farley, Bill Hartman, Jan Hooks, Norm MacDonald, Gilda Radner, Denitra Vance, and many other special deceased contributors. Musical guest, Etta James, and your host, Rosa Parks. Everybody, Rosa Parks. Applause, applause, applause. Park. Thank you, thank you. On December 1st, 1955, in Montgomery, Alabama, I rejected the bus driver's order to vacate a row of 4 seats in the colored section in favor of a white passenger, once the white section was filled. I was arrested for civil disobedience for not pretending that white people deserve better treatment than me. What happened to me helped lead to a bus boycott in Montgomery for over a year and helped inspire the further progress of the civil rights movement in general including the 1956 Browder versus Gale Supreme Court case, which found Alabama's segregation laws to be unconstitutional. Applause, applause, applause. Norm Macdonald comes out. Tepid applause, a smattering of boos. Parks. What are you doing here, Norm? I told you I'm married. I had to change my phone number and everything. Macdonald. No, it's not about that. But I'm glad to hear you're only not returning my texts because you changed your number. Anyway, the producer told me to tell you that we would like to honor you. Parks. And how's that? Macdonald. Well, the producer tends to record this show in various forest preserves, which are technically parks. Parks. Okay. Macdonald. Therefore, the producer proudly proclaims, by the power vested in him by absolutely no one, that all of the various parks in his area from now on will forever be known as the Rosa Parks. Parks. So the producer, in his imagination, will pretend that the parks located by where he lives are known as the Rosa Parks. Macdonald. That's right. Parks. Okay, thank you. Anything else? Macdonald. How about your new number? Parks. I don't think so. Anyway, things are better for African Americans now than they were in 1955, and I'm very proud of my role in making that happen. But things are still not where they need to be, as African Americans still suffer from racism, as well as the economic consequences stemming from slavery and the Jim Crow laws. I hope my story will inspire others to continue fighting against injustice and to work toward making the world a better place for everybody. We have a great show tonight. Etta James is here at last. We'll be right back.